Hey, the numbers that just came out are even worse than they were just a few days ago. Now, in this video, I want to take the emotion out of this and just be very matter of fact with what the data is. I will give you my opinion towards the end because I do think at least some of you value my opinion. That said, if you don't, that's okay. You can cut out after that part or after we go through some of the data. But let's start with the data because this morning we got S&P global manufacturing numbers, we got ISM manufacturing numbers, prices paid, new orders, employment numbers. And then as a result of that, the GDP Now data updated. So the GDP Now data actually, a week ago, it was at positive 2.3% for GDP. And this Friday, we did a video where it fell down to negative 1.5%, right? You saw that right here, negative 1.5%. We went from this sort of stable 2.5% to 3% range. Then we fell to negative 1.5%. Well, just updated again. And now for today, we're sitting at a real GDP estimate of negative 2.8%. Now, I'm going to give the same disclaimer about this before I go through some of the more granular data that we have here. It's really important to remember that this Atlanta Fed GDP data set is very volatile because they're just taking the most recent data sets and they're going to weigh those the highest. So the most weight is on your most recent data. In fact, in my last video, I said, hey, we can get one good report and it'll go from down to just straight up again. But because we got another negative one, it actually went deeper down. That's a Delta flight. Holy crap. It's right side up. All right, sorry, bad jokes. Everybody's okay. I know, maybe too soon. Anyway, sorry. So it's very sensitive. And the fact that this next data set came out is, and it's as negative as it is why now we see a negative 2.8 on the Atlanta Fed real GDP Now forecast. Now remember, it's taking that latest data basically from February and applying it to the entire quarter. So that's why you get these extreme moves because GDP, we know it doesn't move that quickly. Quick note also, you might be wondering why I'm here. I am really happy to share this, but this is about to be, I'm about to take off in this, except I'm going to be flying it for the first time ever. I got this for Christmas 2 years ago. Really cool. Still giddy about it. But I'm actually going to be at the controls today, which is kind of crazy. And so I'm pretty stoked about that. A lot of studying the flight manuals and emergency procedures and stuff. But that means today, I'll be sitting right here, left seat, and I'll be flying my own pee-pee. That's kind of crazy. Yeah, clean up these touch screens. What is this? That's the first thing I thought when I got in here. I go, come on, bro. I know they're touch screens, but damn. But anyway, honestly, I can't wait to do this. Oh, that's kind of sick. Anyway, okay, I guess I just did it. No, but I wanna feel the horsepower at takeoff. So at elevation, you're looking at probably about 2,400 horsepower each, the engines combined. And at cruise, you're probably closer to like 9,600 horsepower. It's a little different than cars in that these turbine engines are calculated with thrust, and so velocity matters. So you're obviously slower when you're on the ground than when you're up there. Anyway, let's get into the data. So S&P Global Manufacturing this morning came in a little bit better than expected at 52.7. This was one of the contributors to this data set. The survey was for 51.6. It's so hot in Florida too, dang. On the west coast of Florida, it's beautiful out here, but I need to be wearing beach attire. Where are my shorts here? Anyway, bro, trying to make a movie over here. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's annoying to me. So the manufacturing PMI actually came in better than I expected this morning, which you'd think, okay, well, that should be good, right? The problem was the S&P manufacturing report this morning said, hey, look, manufacturing expanded. Things accelerated. This was great. However, they basically asterisked it. They said there's some evidence that sector expansion was partly driven by advanced purchases ahead of likely price increases and possible supply disruptions related to future tariff impositions in the coming month. New work rose to the greatest degree in a year, with firms pointing to a stronger market for demand for their goods in February. But growth was primarily driven by client restocking, with customers reportedly keen to get ahead of higher prices and possible supply challenges. International demand remained a noticeable drag, however, on the overall order books, with new export sales dropping in February for a ninth month in a row, and to the greatest degree since last November. Now, that's really interesting because you've got to kind of piece this together for a moment. The last GDP decline that we got was in part because of a lack of exports to other countries. So that continues in this S&P report. So that continues to be a drag, that we're exporting less to other countries. That could be, again, that punishment or that boycotting that we're seeing, Canada, Mexico, and otherwise, right? But in addition to that, the only good news, the reason we're beating is simply because companies are trying to pull forward or get in front of tariffs. So tariff uncertainty is creating some real oopsie-doopsie. Now, this wasn't really the bad stuff. The next data set was even worse. But before we hit that next data set, I want you to see for a moment, this is The Economist. I'm going to be clear here. And remember, we're starting with just the data and the facts, okay? The Economist does not like Donald Trump. That doesn't make them bad, but they don't like Donald Trump. America is at risk of a Trumpian economic slowdown. And as you read it, beyond the noise, a few themes stand out. I scrolled past most of this for you. I just want to give you the bottom line stuff, okay? Beyond the noise, a few themes stand out, and they mostly hint at an intensification of worries in the coming months. Even if Trump again delays imposing tariffs on Canada and Mexico, which are due to take effect tomorrow, just like he did just like he did a month ago, he seems determined to raise tariffs on friends and foes alike, a more aggressive lurch towards protectionism than during his first term. As higher prices weigh on consumption and manufacturing, his tariffs could lop off a percentage point from America's growth rate, according to analysts at Morgan Stanley. Measures of uncertainty about trade policy have spiked higher, meaning businesses may restrain from making investments. This is what we talked about in the last video, that when people start pulling back on wanting to make investments, they stop spending as much money on, there you go, they stop spending as much money on some of those durable goods, new cars, new fridges, kitchen remodels. And honestly, we're going to go back to some data here because we got a lot of data that came out this morning. I'm just trying to break it up, and I like to be very clear when it's my opinion. Okay, so this next part here is my opinion, and then right back to the data. This morning, course members are asking me, oh, Kevin, should we get a home equity line of credit? Should we invest that into stocks or whatever? I said, look, I'm not anyone's personal financial advisor. My take is that at this point in where we are in the economy, I don't feel comfortable saying anybody should have debt in the stock market. I'm not saying go run and hide and sell everything. Just why would you take on extra debt? Now, if you wanted to take on debt to have optionality when the market crashes, that if it does, we don't know that it will. Maybe that could be cool. I remember during COVID, mind you, I want to be Mr. Buy the Dip. I feel like I was the definition of buy the dip. I mean, look at the YouTube song, right? Meet Kevin, buy the dip. I feel like I was the definition of buy the dip, and this is why people are like, oh, Kevin's a flip-flopper. Well, no, it's just because I honestly have concerns right now, and I just feel wrong saying, yeah, take on debt and go buy the dip. I've got a lot of people in retail right now who hit me up. Oh, reverse thrusters, nice. A lot of people in retail right now, they're like, oh, but, Kevin, I want to get Leaps. I want to get Tesla Leaps, 12, 24 months out. I want to get, Palantir Leaps or whatever. And then I say, okay, how's your valuation looking on them? And they're like, what do you mean? It was red for 3 days in a row. I just want to buy Leaps. And I'm like, all right. That makes me nervous, when everybody's still in the mindset of like, yeah, man, we got to get some Leaps. I'm like, oh, no. So that's my opinion, okay? We're going to go back to data in just a second. But my take is don't take on debt right now. Don't go buy that Sprinter van. Don't go do the kitchen remodel, okay? Minimize your expenses right now. I just became a pilot. I'm instrument rated, I'm multi-engine rated, and I'm getting type certified so I can fly this. I'm becoming aware of things I just was never aware of before as a pilot, but I'm like, what? Y'all charge me $700 to update the damn databases? You know how easy that is? I'll do it myself. And it's not because, I'm desperate for the $700, but it's because I'm like, what am I paying you to do, to take out Garmin Pilot on the iPad and hit update. When I can do that, why am I paying you $700 to do that? That's insane. That's 2 times a month. That's $350 a time. That's insane. And my belief is that a lot of people are going to start doing that. A lot of people are going to start, looking at their bank statements and going, what the fuck? Why have I been paying for this? Cancel that. Cut that. Cut that. Cut that. It's the economic cycle very rarely goes from expansion to hyper expansion to slowdown to hyper expansion, right? You kind of have to continue the circle. You have to go through a downturn before you can get back to expansion. So I'm not saying that's definitely going to happen. I'm just saying I'd rather be prepared for any externality, right? With House Hack, my real estate startup, I would rather be in a place where it's like, hey, if the market crashes and we can go bottom feed fixer-uppers and help people with affordable rentals, we'll do that. If the economy keeps going, cool, we got strategies for that too. But we're not going to go bankrupt, So anyway, look at the data that came out this morning. So that was the 645 data. Then at 7, we got construction spending. Survey was negative 0.1%. We got negative 0.2%. Not a big deal. ISM manufacturing, same thing with the pull forward. We got 50.3. It was actually a miss versus the 50.7. Here we go. Prices paid, 62.4 versus the survey of 56. So stagflationary, right? Not good. ISM new orders. Okay. So people are trying to get all their existing orders in, but then what's happening with new orders, which is more forward looking? Survey says 54.6. The last read, 55.1. This read, 48.6. Yeah, that was a pooper. And so when you actually look at it, here you go. February 2025 manufacturing. What do we have? Manufacturing activity. Okay, blah, blah. The new orders index dropped back into contraction after expanding for 3 months. So in other words, it expanded, after people were getting excited about Donald Trump, right? Now it's back into contraction. It's just like, crap, that's not good. I don't want to be in a contractionary market, right? Like, I'm telling you, I want to be the bull. But anyway, the February production index is 1.8 percentage points lower than January's figure. The new orders index was 6.5 percentage points lower than what was recorded in January. Prices index surged further into the expanding territory, up 7.5 percentage points from where it was in January. Suppliers index indicated further slowing of deliveries, however, and indications that demand weakened included that new orders dropped back into contraction, new export orders expanded at a slower rate. So in other words, there's that export hit again. The new orders are slowing down. Backlog of new orders was still in contraction. So in other words, people are like, all right, give me what I ordered and then I'm done. And then you get this talk here. Although tariffs don't go into force until mid-March, spot commodity prices have already risen about 20%. Okay, now we have some more data. So this explains why we're seeing some of the poopy doopy. Now, what do we do with this information? Are we definitely screwed? No, absolutely not. We're definitely not definitely screwed. We're maybe screwed, but we're definitely not definitely screwed. Does any of that make sense? I don't know. Anyway, so what does this actually mean for us? Well, what this actually means is Wall Street is going to become hyper vigilant and responsive to data now. And I think basically when you get these data sets, if you're not paying attention, not to what the Fed's saying, but to every single one of these data sets, you're going to get blindsided on your trades because you're going to go, oh man, the algos are ruining my trades again. Well, no duh, because they're programmed to this data. So the second the data comes out, expect volatility. And if you're not expecting volatility after the data comes out, it's an oopsie doopsie. Now, all of this could turn around. Like, Donald Trump could, by the way, you know why they put the stop sign so low? Y'all know I'm really good with stop signs. So is that guy. Anyway, you know why he was coming from the other direction. Anyway, you know why the stop signs are so low? So you can fly over them while you're taxiing. But anyway, what this means is it's not the Fed talking that matters. It's paying attention to the continuity of this data. And if Donald Trump flips and says, you know what, forget it, cancel all the tariffs like he did last time, yes, we could go back into expansion. But Here's what you really need to go back into expansion. Look at this. We got hay, or it's actually grass, and a taxi light. What you really need to go back into expansion is kill these damn tariffs, okay? Tariffs are a dead weight loss. They're a bad thing economically. I don't like it. I don't like tariffs, okay? I get it. I get why they're doing it. We had a little bit of a debate in the comments section the other day. I understand, okay? The whole idea of, oh, trade deficits are bad is that it hurts American manufacturers. Yes, it does, but it actually benefits American consumers. Because when we can order better stuff cheaper from other countries, that is deflation for American consumers, which is what we want, okay? Am I gonna pay $3,000 for a German Miele dishwasher that's really hard to get service for? Or am I gonna get a $499 dishwasher made by GE, comes with a warranty, and it's made in Mexico? It does the same damn thing. It makes your dishes clean, okay? That's a form of deflation. Now, of course, Donald Trump's gonna say, but that's bad for American manufacturers. Okay, then go figure out how to get the unions to pay wages that are even competitive to what you can pay for in Mexico. Oh, wait, you can't. Because people in Mexico are earning $3.50 an hour at these manufacturing facilities, and union workers in America are making $35 an hour. So it's a it's a 10x difference. So it's like, oh, well, you know, Americans should support American. That's fine. Then pay higher prices. You could also pay German if you wanted to and pay rip-off prices. Like, that's the free market will send manufacturing where it is cheapest to do so. It's a very simple, easy game. So this idea that, you know, a trade deficit is bad is yes, it's bad for union workers and manufacturers, but it's great for people who are consuming. Maybe I'm just bitter because these turbines right here, I'm not really bitter about this. I just think it's funny. It's a reference. See these turbines right here? You know where those suckers are from? Canada. I don't want tariffs on this. You know how much the tariffs are going to cost me on that? I mean, whatever it is. I always say, listen, tell me what the rules are and I'll follow the rules. But I would make the argument that just blatantly, if we really want to go back to growth, stop the tariffs. Stop the tariffs. After you stop the tariffs, then you need something that actually supports the economy. You need some throttle, right? Even the economists said it here. Because the first thing that you had was for tariffs hurt, right? But the thing that was supporting the economy after Donald Trump won was hope. But right now, I made this analogy in my course member live stream this morning. I made this argument that it's sort of like we're on a plank, okay? So imagine I'm on a boat and there's like a plank coming out of this, but it's like a rickety-dickety plank. And you're standing on it, and it's like wobbly. And underneath you are a bunch of stalagmites or sharks. I don't know, whatever floats your boat, I guess. Like, we're on a shaky platform, and tariffs hurt. It's like somebody threw a bag of, like, coal at you, and you're holding it. And now you're on the plank with all this extra weight. It's like, come on, man. I still have faith in you, bro, but it's getting a little hard to stay up over here. Really, what you need is Trump to go, let's take the coal off, okay? And then let's walk you back to, like, good land, and let's give you some tax breaks, okay? That's now, all of a sudden, you could get back to growth, because that's what people have been anticipating. But if you're out there holding coal, and he's like, nah, man, we're going all in with the tariffs. Things are going to get worse before they get better. Sorry, bro. You're like, I don't know how much longer I can keep this. What about the tax breaks? Next year, bro. Dude, I can't handle this for a year. And you fall into a recession, okay? So what the underlying economy has already not been that good. You know, I was just reading, I think it wasn't Credit Agricole. It was somebody this morning, finally, because the institutions, they've been so, everything's fine. And I'm like, man, are you not looking at the underlying data? And then I finally saw a piece, it was Academy Securities this morning. They wrote, the economy is not as good as current data suggests. And they talk again about the Bureau of Labor Statistics and how, broken some of their measures are. We're waiting for headlines from the Zelensky war, the Russia-Zelensky issue. We're waiting for tariffs. We don't know what to make of this art of the deal thing. We don't know what to make of jobs data that's coming out this Friday. The jobs data this Friday is supposed to be good, like 160,000 jobs or whatever. But what if we get a bad report? These are just things that people are going to be nervous about. So where is the economy headed? Nobody knows. The economy will be more difficult with, what is this? Let's see. Finally, what we've seen on equity away from the Russell 2000, so away from small caps, no duh, has been more about, oh, okay. All right. Yeah, no problem. Okay. Sorry. Stupid thing just died, but I read it all earlier. They're basically like more away. People are moving in stocks away from some of the risk, right? The smaller caps deemed to be a little bit more risk, going a little bit more into credit quality. Personally, and this is my personal vote, I'm still a TLT bull. I know that I've been bullish on TLT since July. I know it had done very poorly because of Donald Trump's victory, and then the Fed cutting rates 100 basis points, leading TLT to go up, or I'm sorry, bond yields to go up 100 basis points, because that makes a lot of sense. But anyway, you know, I think we're getting closer to where it makes sense, where it's like, yeah, if we get any kind of shock, TLT could be going straight to the moon. So those TLT January 2026 and January 2027 options are still looking pretty juiced in my opinion. But that's my opinion. So I want to be clear, data versus opinion here. So what's the bottom line of all this? The bottom line out of all of this, frankly, is we don't know, but times are uncertain. That's obvious. And I think it calls for being cautious. Now, I understand some people are going to look at me and go, oh, but Kevin, if everybody who listens to you cuts, then we're going to self-fulfill a recession. I mean, I don't think everybody's going to listen to me, and that's fine. But I told my course members this morning, I want to be in a place where everybody, who watched my content and said, you know what, I'm going to make the right decision, get out of debt or minimize my debt, minimize my downside exposure. It's hard to do with one hand. They survived the recession or even just tumult. It's hard to do with one hand. Whatever it is, they survived. That's what I want, because I don't want to see people get hurt. I understand there are hopes for like, oh, but if we YOLO in now, we could make big dollar hollers or whatever. Okay, but look at Warren Buffett. I know it's hard to when things are booming, but the thing about Warren Buffett is he protected that downside. And I think we'd all be wise to actually look at some of this data and say, look, can it all rocket back up? Yeah. And remember the conditions for it. Reducing this trade war, minimizing some of the geopolitical tension, though that's not as big of a deal. Minimizing the trade war would help. And then actually getting some of these tax cuts going. But so far, even as the economist said, things are a little chaotic. Oh, that's a Cirrus taking off. We don't know where we are with Great Planes, by the way. People call them the Rolls Royce of single prop planes, or just smaller planes in general. But anyway, we don't know where we're going with tariffs. We don't know where we're going with geopolitics. Again, tariffs much more of an issue because of that pull forward of demand. You're getting that up in demand. Now you're getting this sort of realization of down. People are taking their orders and they're done. People are complaining about who's going to pay for the tariffs, blah, 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 blah. And then where do we go from there? Well, then it turns into, okay, are people ready to spend like they're super optimistic? Now it's time for people to put their money where their mouth is. And so far, we just haven't been in a place where people are willing to put their money where their mouth is because everybody's waiting. Anyway, so I hope that helps you. We'll see y'all in the next one. Goodbye. Good luck, everyone. Really appreciate y'all supporting the channel. Consider subscribing. See you soon. Bye.